everybody. I'm very happy to introduce you to this video, which is going to be in two parts, two different separate conversations, but I think they make sense together, they go together, and it's about the reverse world and the reverse time. So first, it's about the reverse world, where Yazhi is sharing the experience that SWARUU'S era, one of SWARUU'S eras before, had with the reverse world. She basically discovered this reverse world where a lot of things were reversed. You will see this in the video, what was reverse. And she basically found it by inverting the frequency numbers, direction that she put into her starship computers. So it took her to that world. She was an exploring mind, of course, and she was curious about that world. Apparently she was very afraid when she got there. Everything was reversed and very strange and ununderstandable. So she decided to leave, and actually she exploded where her ship exploded when it was trying to get out of there, and she died. So that was the experience. And it's still curious, the information that she brought forward from that experience. It's registered there. And, it's definitely mind-expanding and very wild to think that there exist such universes out there. And then the second part is about, the reverse time. How actually something that happened in the future might be affecting you in the present. How is that possible? So it's more about here metaphysics and that part of the reality. Not so much exploring physically other worlds. Thank you very much. I hope and I think you will enjoy this video. I know some of you were waiting for this video. And then I'm going to see you in the next one. I have to keep going because I have a lot of material to share. And the new stuff always keeps coming. Well, enjoy, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye.
Originally in English, second part of 2021. I do feel something like that exists, the opposite side of me. Yes, it does. It's like a universe or dimensional flip side. Like an inside-out sock. No way! I want to know about that. It's here all around us all. We are in it. One side defining the other. Really scary place. Why scary? What goes on there? Meaning, whenever you switch off a light, it's being switched on there. But it's not as simple as even the energetic patterns. The exact way energy flows there is reversed. Even gravity is. It is reversed because it's the flip side coin of here. One side of reality feeding the other. A place where things must push against its opposite in order to even be. See energy patterns as in a toroid. Yes, again, a toroid. So, whenever there is energy flowing out in the perfect mathematical flux or flow, it has to have a flip side, where the flux or flow is reversed. So, whatever gives off energy here, like a star or a reactor, there it would absorb the exact same amount of energy. A sun here is a black hole there, and reverse. Okay, but where is this place? How do you get there? How did SWARUU'S 9 physically get there? It is here, you live in it, but you are only aware of one side of things. How to get there? It puzzles me a bit. SWARUU'S inverted the ship's frequencies completely, but something else is missing because SWARUU'S Papriyananda couldn't get out of there. Returning was like traversing through an energy vortex, like a narrow black hole. the ship was destroyed. But not before this data came though. Note that this place is logical, mathematically sound even. I have ran it in the past through the computers, and it has to exist, as in there cannot be this world without that world. As I said, they feed each other. They need one another to even exist. And things are normal there for whoever is there, us all. And the strange reverse place is here, what we see as normal. Reverse and weird for them. But in what sense is it reversed? Give me some examples, please. You mean evil is good and good is evil there? Like Yazhi and Gosha there working for the Cabal because it's something good there? Or what do you mean? It's a physical place? People live there? What's life there like? It's not as simple as thinking people walk backwards, and when you go walking backwards, you unsee a broken glass on the floor, and you walk 2 steps backwards more, and you see the glass reconstituting itself unbreaking as it unhits the floor and then jumps up to the table to rest on it finally. No, I didn't think it was that way. This is partially how things act there, but it gets more complex as it's not only a reverse time event, because more complicated energy patterns do reverse as well. It's hard to understand. The pattern of energy itself is reversed, so things tend to unrest, things deburn. But the perception is not like time reversing, but flowing in its own way, and to the point where time dilation or the temporal slip as compared to here is negative in nature, meaning that one day here is one day earlier with the consequences of it. A 0-point reactor would absorb the energy in the power net there, not give it off. But then that is also flow, so you also have a current there. Reverse polarity, but it's there. But a wire would get very cold when it has a lot of energy flowing through it, energy that absorbs the heat. When on this side, a wire that has a lot of current in it will tend to get hot. A lot of the how energy flows there could be carefully researched from this side, reversing the total flow using mathematics. This for each process involving flow, time, and whatever process, chemical or not even. Many questions arise, and I do not pretend to hold all the answers to how things are there. But what is a fact is that that place has to exist, as in a must. Look again at this known GIF I keep. But SWARUU'S traveled there physically? She interacted with that world? Yes, she did. No, she did not interact. She ran away, as it was incomprehensible. No way! Isn't that the idea? To venture into incomprehensible places so you can learn and comprehend? She observed, took some readings and ran away, died in the process. At least now we know. In the GIF, see the energy flowing out, and as energy flows out, it must flow in to be able to flow out again. I know that this is not explained, and this concept or information hardly can be on Earth. They talk about dark matter, but this is different. So different that I'm incapable of describing it completely or effectively enough. The best way to explain it is using energy flow mathematics. Do you have more technical information on how she got there? Inverting the frequency map. Applied that inverted frequency to the ship's engines, and hyper-jumped there. The problem with this is that it's not so simple because the frequency modulators in the engines are not designed for this kind of output. So Svaruu'S 3 had to had modified or tuned her Susie's engines. I know Svaruu'S 2 also modified her engines. How did she realize she was in an incomprehensible world? It was the result of an experiment. As I understand, she was looking for enlightenment using a starship, as in enlightenment being a place, as well as a state of mind. What did she first see? Gamma was inverted. That made it really scary, meaning what is light here is dark there and reversed, like in a photographic negative. I understand gamma as the lighting dynamic of an image or a place. Wow, people's faces must look really scary then. No wonder she ran away. Another conversation. Originally in English, beginning of 2022. I am seeing time as cyclical, as I've said before. Also time in reverse, as things caused by other things that have not yet come to pass. As you may be looking at an event caused by something that has not happened yet. It happens all the time. You are not looking at it, that's all, or aware of how to see those things. But they are there, shaping life on Earth every day. You cannot see time as only linear, not even on Earth. Really? Wow. Event caused by something that hasn't happened yet. How does that occur? You see or experience a consequence of something that will happen in your future. This is common with sicknesses. People get mysterious sicknesses, usually cancers, because of reasons that have not yet come to pass. So they get the cancer and then they experience the mental cause, or even the very treatment is what caused it in the first place. So people might get cancer because of the chemotherapy they will get 12 years from now, because they are concurrent or they are in frequency with that event fixed in time, as I have explained, in their mental timeline. Wow, wild. Never occurred to me, oh my god. Is there a way to escape from it? Switching your frequency point to another future situation? Of course, with your thoughts. You must be in a time frame of the now, not in an eternal worry cycle. Insane. This is just something only you could reveal. Pure information from beyond. Oh, I have a lot more of that. I'm only telling you that time also moves in reverse. But I have not mentioned in reverse and backwards. In reverse and backwards mirrored. I am very serious, and this is another subject that needs to be explained. Oh, please do. Super interesting. So, not worrying diverts your attention from that future event timeline, hence changing the present? That, and at the same time knowing your future and your past, because essentially they are the same thing. But people are not aware of that, meaning that their pasts define their futures. And the reasons start off as very simple, gets a lot more complicated. As in people following pre-established behaviors programmed into their being from childhood and comfort zones they are not willing to leave, mostly because of crippling fear. Many people become exactly like their parents were, and this is many times because they are the same souls, recycling in the same family as well, mostly grandfathers and mothers. complicated, and simple once you get to understand it. They don't even have to be dead, the grandparents. So their grandson is them again, integrating fully into the younger one once the older dies. That's a classic. Just look at me. Who am I if not the same one, only corrected and augmented? I am not alone in this. I only remember. That's all. Side question. Does this apply to people like me in immersions? I walked in 2017. Are my grandmother's mother in that circle with me too? Yes, it can. But starseeds are quite adventurous. So from that point of view, you are or would be a first-timer, introduced there. But as time is so not linear, only in the minds of not so expanded people, always in their mind, then your grandmother is or may have been you because you entered Earth, even if that was decades after she was born. So she existed because you entered Earth as a starseed. And that is because she would be you in your future, in one of your futures where you decided to stay on Earth for another incarnation. Wow, nuts! None of my grandmothers were very awakened though. You may see that as another experience, but from your present you may see them, or you in them, not saying that you are, as de-evolving. And it may not be the case in you. I am not saying it is, it's only an example. But many people do evolve in reverse. So the grandson may be an asshole, and he is the grandson of a great philosopher. Evolving soul in reverse form the linear point of view of people in agreement to experience time in essentially the same direction, like you and I. Obviously, or we would not be talking. Wow, maybe go back to the beginning with this. Time working in reverse. Explain how this works. Time is relative to the observer, so it is apparently in reverse for you, but not for him, the subject we are looking at. It is just another expression or organization of events. And it can also be seen as linear. But I have already explained this partially when I said that many events are caused by what is happening in other timelines or parallel universes, because they are only so for the observer in this one. Because from the point of view of a more expanded observer, they are the same parallel universe or timeline. It's just more expanded, meaning the subject has a larger mind that can handle more information input and decipher it as a reality. Another example of handling more and more information is language skills, where it is hard to learn another language if you only speak one. But the third is easier, and the fourth even easier. Once you are in the teens, learning a new one may take only a few weeks or even less, some days. This because you start to expand your mind about the languages to the point where you notice that they are all structured the same way, so they are variants of the same. But this is seen only because the mind is more expanded and can handle and process more information. And this means that the more you know, the easier it is to know more. Okay, so explain in a bit more detail, please, how a future event that hasn't happened yet, for your observation, influences and causes the present one. That's very intriguing. I have already started to explain this. Remember my example of a singularity and that point being each person? Yes, I do. What I mean is that all events in all timelines converge and concentrate to create and influence what you call the now. So even though a person studied psychology in one timeline and engineering in another, how the person is today is a combination of both timelines and all the others as well. So that psychologist may have very good engineering skills that also shape his/her career, to the point where he or she may even come up with a neuronal structure theory thanks to his engineering skills in another. This is because we all get our information, therefore who we are, from other planes of existence. From the ether, the afterlife, source where there is no time. So there is access to everything there. The badly explained Akashic records. Each line is a timeline, and they all converge and create the now, the person, the core. And some go forwards, and some in reverse, and some sideways, and some sideways in reverse. And even that diagram is incomplete, because it should be a sphere with everything going into it from every conceivable direction. Sideways in reverse. Sounds funny. But Yazhi, that sucks though, because then you, as you are at this specific point, are at the mercy of your other yous and whatever mess they might be in. Yes, and that fuels the feeling of living in a deterministic universe. And in a way, it is but of your own creation, of your other yous. This may explain why we all feel as victims from time to time, when in reality, everything we are living is our fault and no one else's. As I have explained before, it is all you, like it or not, understand it or not. And what's the key to block that? The not so positive influence of my other me's influencing me from the future. You must be all at once integrated. And to do that, you must be the best you can be and forget about the others. Take control over what you think and why. Become your higher self. You can. No limits allowed. Not even in thought. Realize that it's only your thoughts what limit you always. Apprehensions and worries. No use worrying about something that may not happen. On the contrary, it aligns you to that something. Be aware of it. Do not neglect nor deny it. Observe it and study it. Remember, the best police detectives are the ones that get into the minds of the criminals, understand them, and predict their next moves. That's why you must face your problems and fears head on, even if you feel they will destroy you, and often will. But more often, facing them will make you stronger, and your unconscious becomes transparent to you. And there is where you gain control over it, over your unconscious. And that's when interesting things start to happen, like altering the rules of reality, walking through walls, altering the speed of time relative to others, teleporting. You suddenly realize there is no body, there is no spoon, like in Matrix, the movie. I must go, and so do you. Okay, thanks. I will definitely make a video about this, although I feel we just scratched the surface. This is only a prelude. I am trying to tell you why I walk through walls. So much resistance to such a simple thing. Make it all be a dream, a lucid dream. Good night.
Hello, my friends. Couple of final comments. How did you like this video? I like this information very much, even though it took me a while to share it with you. But I liked it because I like anything that stretches our understanding of reality, what a soul is and how it works, how it functions. Anything that takes our mind and spirit into the unknown territories, exploring the infinite possibilities of life. So I just want to comment here on the second part of this video, which is the future, so-called future, influencing the so-called present. And according to Yazhi here, this is something that happens all the time. The future events always give form and shape to the so-called present events. It's happening all the time, it's just that we don't know it, we are not aware of that. Now, why is that? Why is that the future events are shaping the present events? Well, because from the perspective of the ether, from the perspective of our soul, there is always a constant flow of information, inspiration, and influence coming from other me's, other I's, other you's, other parallel, so to speak, selves. And that was explained before, how we are constantly exchanging inflow of information and receiving that information and the feelings from other parallel I's. And it doesn't matter if it's future or past. And that is because from that perspective, from that higher realm, from the ether, from the perspective of the soul, all the events are fixed in time. Future, present, doesn't matter. They are all the same. They are all fixed in time, happening at the same time. So they are constantly influencing us here, coming into our field of conscious or unconscious awareness. You, as a greater soul, you encompass all of them. You are all of them. You, as a nucleus point, as a singularity point, you always encompass all of them at the same time. So obviously, logically, you're going to receive the influence from those other yous. And this, for example, happens with the abilities and talents and gifts. Like someone might have something special that they don't know why they have that, why they are interested in that, why they are good at that. And like, for example, the children that come in and they right away can play the piano. And that can be coming from their past lives. But what is a past life? From the ether side of view, it's happening at the same time. There is no future and past from that point of view. It's all fixed in time. So it could be viewed it's coming from the past life, or it could be viewed that it's coming simply from the parallel self, from some other parallel dimension of you, which I don't like to call it that way, because I'm more inclined now towards how Yazhi sees it, that it's just all you happening at the same time. It only seems parallel to us because our point of attention is so fixed onto this in here and now. And here, this also happens with the sicknesses, strange sicknesses, as she explains here, that you may get some kind of a disease that you don't understand why you have that and why you manifested this, but it may be coming from some other you. Or the reason for it is actually in the future you, and it's filtering down to here. So now, how to escape from this? How to escape from the negative influence? I'm not saying escape from the positive influence, and actually I don't even think it's possible to escape. But there is a technique that you can use to have you be influenced only by the positive, by what you want to be influenced by. Because I was explaining to Yazhi, this sucks if we are like kind of not in control of how we feel and what we might think or do here, because it's influenced by some future I or parallel I. And Yazhi here agreed. Well, she said, well, yes, it happens all the time, and actually that's why many of us many times feel like victims, or we have the sensation like we are in the deterministic universe, because it seems like, you know, all the actions are always influenced by something else. But here, surprise, surprise, as Yazhi explains, all that something else is actually you as well. So you are never in hands of anything but you yourself, even if you don't have a conscious access to it. So now, how to escape, let's call it that way, from some possible negative influence. It's about taking control of your thoughts, because it's your thoughts and your output, what you project, how you perceive reality, what you focus on. That's what is going to attract the next timeline next to you to influence you, because it's going to be the closest one in how you feel and how you think and how you interpret things. It's going to be harder to receive the influence of some other future self or parallel self that is very far away in a spectrum of frequency of how you are here today. So that's why it's so important to take control of how you think, how you feel, why you think the way you think, and why you feel the way you think. Analyze yourself, and like Yazhi here said, and I love that, claim to be right now your superior self. Be your higher self right now, and don't allow yourself any limits. And now another point which is similar to this idea of future mixing with the past, so to speak, is when she talked about that supposed de-evolution of souls, when you as you could be actually incarnating into someone that from your perspective was in your past, like for example your grandfather or your grandmother, because that's actually how it happens very often. It's sometimes skips the generation, it's grandparents and then you, but not always. So from your perspective, if you are you here and then you incarnate into your grandmother, it seems like you are going backwards. But this is the beauty of the reality of the soul here, that for the reality of the soul, it's not going backwards. It's also linear. It's just that it's from its own perspective. The soul has its own way of organizing the events, of organizing its path. So it's subjective to the observer. Time and linearity is subjective to the observer. And in this position here, for us, from our point of view, of our observation, it looks like it's going backwards, like it's de-evolving. But from the point of the soul, it could be that it is evolving, it's following its own linearity and way of progression. And interesting is that you could be actually living at the same time as your grandmother or grandfather or mother or whoever or whatever person. You could be both you at the same time. And then when your grandmother dies, the soul it manifests more, takes more hold of you here, more of you go into you here. That's what Yazhi here said. She actually gave us an example, they gave us an example a long time ago about a person. That person is in the public eye, but I don't want to say who, because I'm not sure we are allowed to say that. It was actually a man in the past, not very long past, and now she's a woman, and that's a granddaughter. And they are the same person, the same soul. What they're trying to, repair the mistakes of the grandfather or whatever. I'm not sure in this case who incarnated after who. But that's how it is. That's how it works. It's an enigma of life, enigma of the soul. It has its own rules and its own modes of expansion, and it doesn't obey our perspective of flow or linearity. And another interesting here is that you as your grandfather, you being your grandfather, might have decided to be your grandfather after you were born as a grandchild, as you here now. So thanks to your incarnation here, coming here, you decided, okay, I want to be here some more, but I'm going to be my grandfather now. So you kind of jumped backward. So that's that. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. I'm going to see you in the next one. I think I'm going to publish mini topics next, I think. And well, enjoy your day. Enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, enjoy your life in general. As much as I do. Look, everything is like frozen here. I don't know if you can see this. Like super frozen. There's a lot of snow on trees and everywhere. It's just magical. So that's why I decided to record this here. Well, thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye bye.